All right. Welcome back. Pass me the rock live. I'm Jay Sullivan. I'll be hosting today along with Jay Poop, who will be in from class shortly. Um, First thing I wanted to talk about was the World Series. Nationals jumping out to a surprising 2-0 lead over the Astros there. Won two games in Houston. Game 3, 4, 5 this weekend in Washington. I'm gonna be honest. If you saw this coming, um, you're probably lying. Nobody saw Gerrit Cole and Justin Verlander getting lit up at home against a team like against anyone really. I mean, they've been rock solid. Gerrit Cole hadn't lost the decision since May. He hadn't given up a run, not off a home run since August. The fact that the Nationals jumped all over these guys. I mean, Cole I think had like 7 innings, pitched 5 earned runs. Verlander was 6-4. If you saw this coming, you should become like a mind reader or something. There's no way anybody saw this coming. The Nationals have just jumped over the two best pitchers, and that's with Scherzer in game one not really having his best stuff. Strasburg pitched well last night, but just an absolute mugging. And now it goes back for game three with Corbin. And I mean, if Corbin's ready to go after relieving the other night, and then Sanchez, and now the Astros are going to Greinke, and then probably somebody on short rest, down 2-0. Greinke with his diagnosed problems with anxiety. So I mean, you never know what you're gonna get out of him in the playoffs. In high nerve situation, it's kind of a wild card. He pitched okay after a rough inning in New York, but he pitched well after that. But he's kind of a wild card. You just never know. And then I don't know. Do you throw Cole on short rest after a tough start like that, I mean, they haven't thrown any other pitchers this postseason, so I guess that would be what their plan would be. And then Verlander again on short rest, but the Nationals definitely. I mean, it's obvious that they have the upper hand. 2-0 going back. I mean, so does who hasn't played great for them. I mean, the bullpen had a minor dust up in game one where it was getting close down the stretch there, but in the end, Doolittle locked it down with a 4-out save, and they stole game one. And then game two was just an outright just beat down of epic proportions for them. So I guess looking forward, I got to stop down in the Nats. I mean, I picked against them in the divisional series. I picked against them in the championship series, and then I picked them against them in the World Series. Again, I said the World Series champion would emerge from the American League. That, you know, this series is far from over, but got to stop acting like these guys can't play because they can. Especially a year after losing Bryce Harper. A lot of people keep talking about what they did losing Bryce Harper, but they don't talk about what they did with replacing him, especially on the pitching staff, and then the minor moves that they've made throughout. So guys have been stepping up all postseason. I mean, Howie Kendrick, and you saw Adam Eaton last night with a big home run, and Kurt Suzuki has been good behind the plate. Anibal Sanchez has been outstanding when called upon this postseason. He'll be called again at home. So yeah, we'll see. What happens with game 3, 4, and 5. I mean, if the Nationals win game 3, you could just, I mean, it's not over till the fat ladies innings, but it would be tough to come back from that. I mean, it's surprising for the Astros, but it's not like we hadn't seen them this vulnerable. I mean, they could have been eliminated game 5 against the Rays, and then, things swing some different ways in that game 6 in Houston, and you don't know what happens in game 7. I know Cole's on the mound, but you don't know what happens in that game 7. It's not like they haven't been vulnerable. It's not like last year where the Red Sox were just unbeatable, bulldozed through everyone. The Astros haven't really been unbeatable this postseason. There's been a couple of occurrences where you thought they could lose, but yeah, I mean, I think nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw the Nationals winning the first 2 games. I think everybody was hoping for a steal 1 or 2 Verlander, but nobody saw them winning these first 2 games in the way they did, which is jumping just all over 2 of the better starters of the game, 2 top 5 pitchers in the league. If you really honestly saw this coming, you should be a mind reader, because nobody saw this coming. It's shocking just talking about it. I mean, Justin Verlander and Gerrit Cole got shelled in the first 2 games on the Washington Nationals, and their bullpen with an ERA of almost 9 is 2 wins away from a World Series. The Washington Nationals, who were 13-21 in the middle of May, they were they were they were out of a wild card spot, battling back and forth with the Mets as recently as August for a wild card spot. If the Brewers don't blow that play in the eighth inning of the wild card game, they might be out there. And a team that has just barely, gotten by and have had to recoveries of like epic proportions this postseason. I mean, Game 5 against the Dodgers, they were down until Kershaw came in and blew everything, and then Joe Kelly comes in and gives up the grand slam. I mean, this is a team that at numerous times has been backed against the wall, and I know they had the dominant series win, but numerous times has been backed against the wall. And now Game 1 and 2 in Houston, it's kind of a death sentence almost. But you got your guys going against their guys, and Scherzer didn't pitch well, but he battled. And Strasburg obviously last night had his stuff. He's had his stuff all postseason. It's either him or Juan Soto, or even don't let it go unmentioned either. The way Anthony Rendon has been hitting the ball this postseason, either he's been awesome. But I mean, obviously, the stars of the show right now are Soto and Strasburg, as they should be. Developments of the Nationals minor league system. Ryan Zimmerman, Mr. National, the first ever Washington National draft pick, hitting a home run in Game 1. That was a cool moment. I mean, this World Series has been a shocker. I mean, it's been a postseason of shockers, really. I mean, the Rays almost beating the Astros in round 1, and then the Nationals run, Milwaukee blowing it. And, it's been a postseason of shockers, and the Nationals have been at the center of it. And I guess, I kept picking against them, and they keep making me look foolish. So, yeah. So, I mean, moving on, Gabe. I mean, I don't think right now, I mean, I don't want to put like definite takes on here, but obviously the advantages to the Nationals. The Astros are now battling, or not playing catch up. They're battling from a mile back. Not impossible for them to win it. Could always, steal a couple. I mean, the Yankees won the first one there. I mean, the Nationals won all 3 in Yankee Stadium. So, I mean, 2 of the 3 in Yankee Stadium, excuse me. So it's not impossible. They're a team that's been playoff tested. They've been in the playoffs the last 3 years, World Series the last 2 of the last 3 years. Majority of this team won a World Series 2 years ago. So it's not like they haven't been here before. They've been in tough situations in the playoffs. They know how to win the playoffs. They know what it takes to win road games in the playoffs. They know what it takes to win road games in the general. One of the better road teams in all of baseball. So we'll see. But again, it's obviously a shocking beginning to the World Series. Nobody expected this. Nobody saw this coming. I mean, even Springer, Game 1, just kind of doing everything he can. I just want to touch on it for a second, George Springer, too, how unbelievable he is in the postseason. Yeah, just how great he is. And he hits home runs. Whenever you need him to, he gets the big hit. So, yeah. So just moving on from that, Game 3, 4, 5. I guess I'll touch on some off-season topics. Mainly the Brian Cashman had a press conference today, claiming that he never passed up on any pitchers that are in the World Series. That is just untrue. He didn't trade for Justin Verlander. When he could have. He didn't trade for Gerrit Cole when he could have. They were the favorites selling Gerrit Cole because the Pirates love their minor league system. He wouldn't do it. And then he could have signed Patrick Corbin this offseason, but they were outbid, so he didn't do that. So that was 3 pass-ups right there. I don't think we've done a show since the Yankees lost to the Astros, so I just want to touch on that too. How Chapman blowing it kind of as a final send-off. I think he's out. I think he opts out of his deal. That's kind of been keyed in. That's kind of been the obvious the entire time, but this was kind of the last run that they were going to make with Chapman. I don't think it's as huge of a loss as it could be for other teams because, their bullpen is their strength. I think Chapman leaving, if they bring in an A-line starting pitcher with Chapman leaving, they're still a far better team next year than they were this year. And I still think they're far and beyond the best team in the American League East right now. I mean, they won it by a lot over Tampa Bay this year, and then, Boston going in a rebuild mode with, possibly trading Mookie Betts and others. So I think right now the Yankees are the team to beat in the AL East, but the problem is that they're not the team to beat in the American League. And if they still Gerrit Cole, they move one step closer to the Astros, but as they proved this postseason, again, they're not there yet. They haven't been there for a decade. That mystique, it's gone. There's no longer that fear. It's just not there. When you walk into the Yankee Stadium, there's no longer those ghosts walking around, the ghosts of Ruth and Garrett or whatever. It's just not there anymore. It's different now. It's a different vibe. They're just like everyone else now. I mean, over the last 2 years, uh, I don't know, they lost two games to the Red Sox last year, won two against the Twins, and lost two of three. So the last 2 years, they're 500 in their home spot. So, you know, um, it's that mystique is dead. Cashman definitely has some work to do. He hasn't won. I mean, it's been a decade of mediocrity. I mean, they made the American League Championship Series 4 times. Nobody else in the American League made it more, and they lost all four straight ALCS losses. So that mystique is dead. Is a decade of mediocrity. Um, just good, not great, and obviously the Yankees, they're not about that. So that needs to change. I mean, the Mets made more World Series this decade than the Yankees did. So just ponder that one for a bit and see how that makes you feel. The Red Sox still looking for a GM. Search is still on. Really, no new leaks or of interviews or anything. So no Mookie leaks, no nothing. I'm assuming that will be coming soon. So we're gonna take a quick break. Coop will come in, and then we'll see you guys then.